In a game where two factions are in a constant state of war, and going out and massacring an entire race of creatures is the norm for starting zone level quests, what would even count in this game as a morally questionable quest, seeing as morality itself is pretty subjective? Well, quests that, after you do them, might have you thinking, was I the bad guy in this situation? Or maybe, oh shit, that was totally fucked up. And to start off this list, we'll start with something light. So number 10 will be the quest Tormenting the Softknuckles. In this quest, you're pretending to be the slave of the Wolvar, and part of the task they asked you to complete is to go out and kill some gorillas near their camp. Pretty standard stuff as far as these kinds of quests go. But they also want you to kill the head honcho gorilla. But this top gorilla will take some tracking to hunt down. So instead of doing all that, the Wolvar think it'd be a great idea to instead just go to its children and torment them until she comes out to protect them. Now, you're not exactly torturing the children or anything, you're just poking them with a stick. But still, it's never a cool thing to go around tormenting babies. But then again, you do kill a whole bunch of adult gorillas were the other quest to accept with this one. So, let's just go on to the next quest on this list. Number 9, Surrender Not. In this quest, you dress up like a murloc and hold out a white flag, so you can walk up to the murloc's leader and kill them without having to deal with any of its underlings. This act is also known as perfidy, and is technically a war crime. To quote Wikipedia, in the context of war, perfidy is a form of deception in which one side promises to act in good faith, such as by raising a flag of truce, with the intention of breaking that promise once the enemy is exposed, such as by coming out of cover to attack the enemy coming to take the surrendering prisoners into custody. Perfidy constitutes a breach of the laws of war, and so is a war crime, as it degrades the protections and mutual restraints developed in the interest of all parties, combatants and civilians. In practice, combatants find it difficult to respect protected persons and objects if experience causes them to believe or suspect that their adversaries are abusing a claim to protection under international law to gain a military advantage. To simplify that, it's an advantage to both sides to allow free passage of someone who surrendered, so using a surrender to gain a military advantage is just ruining it for everyone, and is heavily frowned upon, and a violation of international law. Now, the context for this quest is that the leader of the Murlocs is actually mind controlling them, and you're trying to free them or something by killing their leader. So it's not really that bad that you faked a surrender to kinda save them from mind control, but the quest giver tells you to go out and commit a war crime as if it's the most natural thing to do, with absolutely no hesitations. But ultimately, it was done for something kinda good. So, I don't know. The morality of this quest could be considered questionable. Number 8, most goblin quests. The goblins don't really have morals and only care about making a profit, so most of their quests are very questionable. Next time you do any goblin quest, make sure to actually read the quest text. 90% of the time, they'll ask you to do something shady and act like it's nothing. Let's take the quest Bad Science Bad, for example. I was trying to domesticate the indigenous hippogriffs here using a series of debilitating electrical shocks, when for some reason they went berserk. Now my test subjects are tearing up this place for no good reason. Go slaughter my failed experiments before they find me. This quest has you go out and kill some hippogriffs who are mad, all because they had a little electrical shock live experiments done on them. Most of the quests in Ajara follow the same kind of pattern as this one. It's actually kind of funny, but if you really think about some of the things they ask you to do, you'll notice the goblins are all kinda terrible. Number 7, Rise Forsaken. This quest in the Silver Pine Forest has you go to the Fenris Isle, where there are a bunch of human refugees from Hillsbrad, who fled there in hopes of escaping the Forsaken war machine. A critical error on their part. Sylvanas has you go in and kill as many refugees as you can find, so that the Valk who goes along with you can raise them as undead to increase her army. The quest is literally no better than what the Lich King was doing, which Sylvanas herself hated. In fact, later on in the quest chain, the remaining humans on the island willingly drink Worgen blood and join the Worgens, just to avoid being killed and raised by the Forsaken as undead. Number 6. Most of the Death Knight starting zone. These quests can kind of be understood in context, as the point of the zone is to show how much of an asshole you were before you break away from the Lich King. The quests in the zone will have you killing your own subordinates as a test of strength, chasing down and killing fleeing civilians, torturing individuals for information, and probably the most fucked up part of the zone is this one quest where you have to go in and kill a prisoner. But before you kill them, the prisoner recognizes you as their old best friend from before the war, and will tell you stories about how you both grew up together and had big dreams to become heroic adventurers. And after learning all of this, you're still forced to kill him. But like I said earlier, it's all kind of understandable in context. You're supposed to be the underling for an evil overlord, so of course you'd be going out and doing evil things. But the stuff you do is bad enough to still be worth a mention on this list. Number 5. The Art of Persuasion. In this quest, you have a prisoner, and the Kirin Tor needs information from him. The only problem is that he's not talking, and the Kirin Tor don't allow their members to use extreme measures to get information. But you, as the adventurer helping them out, are bound by no such rules. Also, he just happens to have an item on him that will inflict incredible pain, but not cause any permanent damage. It's up to you to torture this prisoner until he talks. This quest actually caught Blizzard some flack from a few gaming websites when it first came out, for having an unskippable torture quest as part of a quest chain, with no alternative routes to pursue instead of torture. In fact, because of this quest, when you do a similar quest in Cataclysm, where you capture a Quillbore and need information from him, you can just tickle the information out of him instead. Number 4. No mercy for the captured. In this quest, you have 4 prisoners, and it's your job to go out and kill them for being captured. When you go out to complete the quest, you have to talk to them first, and you find out that some of them got captured through no fault of their own. One guy just fell asleep in his bed and then woke up in his cage the next morning, which means they weren't captured for being double agents or anything sinister. You're just going out and killing them because I guess it's slightly easier to kill them than it would be to escort them back to town. Number 3. Fool's Gold. Now, I think this is the first Alliance-only quest on this list, but I can assure you it's not the last. The Horde isn't the only faction with questionable quests, but I will admit they do have more of them. Now, this particular quest chain involves you helping out a gnome get his hands on newly discovered oil by a displaced centaur tribe. But the Horde also want their hands on the oil. And you know what the Horde is planning on doing to get it before the Alliance can? Pay for it with gold. So it's your job to find out how much the Horde is offering. So you go in and rough up the Horde representative to see what their offer is. But it's way more than the gnome is willing to pay. So he tells you to go out and get some rocks and paint them gold, since the centaur won't know any better. But when you present the centaur with the fake gold, he notices right away, and his entire tribe turns hostile towards you. The gnome will then tell you, screw it, let's just take the oil anyway. So he sends you in to plant an oil rig to steal the oil, and also kill a few centaurs while you're at it for turning down your crappy offer. So in this situation, the Alliance go in and kill a bunch of centaurs and steal oil, while the Horde was just willing to pay for it. Number 2. Do the right thing. In this quest, you're given a shovel, in front of a bunch of humans who are buried up to their necks, with ghouls running around, jumping on their heads, eating them. It's up to you to go in and bash the heads in of the humans so they can have a nice, clean death, rather than being eaten alive by a ghoul. After all, it's the right thing to do. Alternatively, you can dig them out so they can escape the death camp. One of the few quests on this list with an actual peaceful option, as opposed to the gruesome, morally questionable alternative. Number 1. Jaina's Resolution. In this quest, you go around and help Jaina kill all the Blood Elf civilians in Dalaran. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. You'll also get quests to go into the sewers to find blood elves who might be hiding. Be given a list of elves who own shops and refuse to give up their life's work. Kill blood elves who are trying to withdraw their life savings from the banks. And kill or blind their dragonhawks so they can't escape. While you're running around doing all these things, Jaina can be found leisurely strolling through the city with her water elementals, striking down all fleeing blood elf civilians that cross her path. And all because Garrosh moved a bell through the city while the blood elves turned a blind eye. You also later find out that the king of Stormwind was in talks with the blood elves to join the alliance. But after you help Jaina massacre their citizens in Dalaran, negotiations kind of fall through for some reason. Leave it to the alliance to take the #1 spot on this list. Bunch of monsters if you ask me. So what do you think? Do you agree with my list? Maybe Jaina's resolution shouldn't be #1? Maybe there's other quests in the game that I may have missed. Let me know down in the comments. But everybody knows Jaina's actually a monster.